Good. We're ready to go. Well, everybody, this will be an interesting panel discussion following on those remarks we just heard about doing more with less. My name is Jordan Cram. I'm happy to moderate with my panelists here. We're going to do a kind of a speed round of introductions, a few different layers, just to get you to better know the panelists. Just name, location, where we're from. Pooja.
Hi everyone, my name is Pooja Mahajan and I'm from Los Angeles.
Hi, my name is Nina and I'm also from Los Angeles.
Good afternoon, Mort Fartash, Southern California, Orange County, LA County.
I'm from Miami, Florida. I think I was one of the finalists for coming the longest distance to be with you all here today. Next, we'll just say a little bit about the companies that we work with and our specific roles. So, Pooja.
So I'm a product manager at Stantec. Essentially what this role means is taking digital solutions that are maybe in an idea phase or a prototype phase and identifying ways to scale them so that more users, more clients can use that same technology or the tool that was developed, say, out of a project, or it was just an idea that came out of a specific team at Stantec.
I'm the tech lead on the digital services team at LA Metro in our marketing department under customer experience. So my work covers all of the different ways in which we communicate to the public, to our riders, via digital means, whether it's websites or data feeds.
And I used to work for California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, till 2020, which I retired, and now still I work with Caltrans as a retired annuitant. My responsibility was as a district traffic manager for LA County and Ventura County, make sure all construction projects are going well and there is proper detouring and proper information sharing with public so they can go around the construction. Also, I managed the Transportation Management Center, which it's TMC for short, is a nerve center for managing the congestion, whether recurrent congestion, like at morning traffic and afternoon traffic, as well as non-recurrent, such as accident and incidents, on a real-time basis. And as we go through it, I'll explain why in real time and what we had to do.
And to wrap that up, I'm the CEO of Enstoa, the blue logo right there, right above my head. Our company specializes on digital transformation and accelerating the adoption and use of digital transformation for organizations in the built environment. Okay, let's now just a little background on the topic, which sort of was a personal thing, and Ken was happy to oblige, where it became clear that there were resource constraints. Those are human resources, systems resources, financial resources, and as a CEO, you can imagine I have no shortage of ideas, most of which require spending, hiring, and doing things that are not always viable. So the idea was, let's have a panel discussion, bring in experts, share ideas on how improvements have been created within the existing constraints, with the goal that we might inspire or provide some ideas on how you can drive some improvements. You know, those might be little wins that sum up to big breakthroughs. So really this is about us coming up with some ideas of how we have created value and efficiency with the existing capabilities and resources that we have. So if we take, for example, that you have the resources you have the skills you have, you still have to do your day job, but you're driven to create value and efficiency on top of that. That your technology, your compute, your processing powers processing power is more or less fixed, and that your budget's your budget. So let's kind of kick it off with that, mindset of, just an idea of some of those constraints that are impacting our panelists day to day. So Mort, maybe you could just have a comment on those constraints in Caltrans.
Sure. So for us, not using technology is inevitable because things are happening on a roadway system. Everybody has to use it. So as the demand on our freeway system grows rapidly, not gradually, rapidly, we need to keep up with technology. And in mid-60s, we didn't have much technology, and our system was two-lane highway going in different direction. And as the population grows, the demand on the freeway system grows, we need to manage it. And because of that, in mid-60s, we used to have a handful of closed-circuit television cameras on our roadway system. But now we have a platform that manages the cameras, and in real time, we can see an incident as it's happening. And the reason for it is because every 7 minutes that we respond late to an incident, there is 1 mile of queue buildup. So we have no choice. And a limitation of resources, of course, is there, and in conjunction with the Highway Patrol. For any incident, whether Orange County, LA County, Ventura County, on average, it takes 8 to 12 minutes. If there is an incident, a Highway Patrol gets out to the field, define what the problem is, and verify the incident and dispatch somebody to do something or to send the proper first responders to the field. Whereas with utilization of technology, in matter of seconds, where we have cameras, we can detect and verify an incident, send the proper team to the scene. So under no circumstances we can have enough resources, manpower to do all of those things in real time. So the nerve center, the transportation management center, which is the hub of our incident management, traffic management, congestion management, in real time, we have no choice but using technology and build a platform to bring information in conjunction with CHP and give a fast response, provide fast response in dealing with the situation.
Thanks for that context. So maybe Pooja, over to you. Just sort of talk to the day in the life of a product manager at Stantec and some of those constraints that you're up against.
Sure. So everything that you mentioned, all those constraints exist, and I'm pretty sure that everyone would agree that they exist in all organizations, whether it's the budget, skills, resources. I think one thing I would add is that more and more I'm seeing is that there's a lot of engineers, a lot of young scientists, because the technology is becoming more and more accessible, like, for example, low-code, no-code platforms where, we don't need to know programming or coding anymore. And in fact, my career has pivoted into digital as a result of starting to use low-code technology. My background is in civil engineering. I used to be a civil engineer and then pivoted into the digital realm. And so just like me, I think I'm seeing a lot of other engineers creating or using technology to develop tools, and what I like to call micro innovations are happening across organizations. And so another constraint to just add to your list I'm seeing is that figuring out how to take these micro innovations, maybe developed by one person in a team or on one single project, and then scaling it up. How do we take that and make it usable for more people, whether it's internal to the organizations or for a consultant like me, how can I take this to my client and help them use something that came out of one single team or a project? So that's another piece that adds to the complexities of the already complex problem. And that's something that, as part of being a product manager and part of the digital solutions team at Stantec, we are trying to figure that piece out. How do you take those ideas and scale it up? I'll just add one thing. At this point, we have list of more ideas than people who can help us scale it up, build it, and take it to more people, whether it's internal or to our clients.
So that's novel. That's a constraint of like scale inhibitors, right? Things that like the ideas are there, but they're not catching. Nina, what about LA Metro?
Well, I'll try to bring something new to the table. I think everyone's covered so much already. But like Pooja said, we're impacted by all of those constraints. And so I was thinking like, well, hiring is a really big one because our team is so small. We don't have the budget to hire more staff. Of course, budget's another one. But trying to figure out how to make do within like the staff that we have. It's long been kind of a passion of mine, innovating within those constraints. And, I think a big part of that, kind of like what you mentioned about low code and no code, is really empowering the people that you do have to innovate and to experiment. So maybe a little bit earlier on in the process. For us, it's about getting to that point where people can feel empowered to come up with those ideas and try different things, and then hopefully we can scale those up.
Okay, so we've got that as the context and the setting. Now let's get to some of the ideas. And again, we hope to feed, build some momentum on this because the panelists have really come up with some good solutions. Some big, some small. But Nina, why don't you keep the mic and just tell us about, give us some stories about how you've been able to achieve that at LA Metro.
Yeah, sure. So a favorite story of mine has to do with our agency's website, metro.net. It's a main way that we communicate with the public, with our writers, and there's constantly things that need to go up on the website, as you can imagine, for a transit agency in such a large, bustling area as Los Angeles. We have new projects going on all the time, updates to projects, whether it's a new hiring campaign or fair policy changes. There's a lot going on that our internal departments need to communicate with our marketing department for to make sure that gets up on the website. And traditionally, the workflow was that these departments would have a marketing rep that they communicate with, and that marketing rep would then pass along the content update to our web team. And this was really a very inefficient process because our web team was not the subject matter experts, so there was the possibility of errors in the content going up. You have the issue of delays because now you have to play a game of telephone and pass through all of these layers just to make one change on the website, right? And then on top of that, the system that our website was built off of was really like heavily customized and kind of old. We couldn't really update it anymore. It was too complex for our marketing staff to use on the administrative side. It was too complex for our small web team to have the technical skills to maintain the infrastructure for. So we had to rely on contractors for any sort of design or layout changes, which really held us back in trying to do anything with it. So as a result, we took the step of completely rebuilding the website from scratch on a new platform. And that's always a really scary thing. But for us, what we kept in mind was the main requirements of this new platform that we wanted. And that was to have an administrative interface that was easy to use for non-technical staff, and also the platform that gave us flexibility to control the design and the layout of the website so that our web team, which did not have like deep technical resources, would still be able to make major structural changes to the website. And it worked out great. As a result of launching this new, completely redesigned new website on a new platform, we were able to roll out a new workflow where now our marketing staff has access to the administrative backend. They directly make the content updates, and now our web team has their capacity freed up to do the things that they can actually specialize in maintaining the infrastructure, in developing templates that the marketing people can use, and also to just experiment on different ways to do web communications.
Nina, just one kind of quick follow-up question there. So that's a workflow innovation predominantly. Was that an easy change to push through?
You know, it was actually easier than we thought it would be because I think everyone was dealing with pain points as a result of the old situation. You know, because it was such an inefficient process, the marketing team had people breathing down their backs for
So
changes.
you had momentum.
Yes,
or
there was definitely, you know, momentum, and it was easy enough to sell.
Okay, so that is, you know, Nina's just talked about an example there of how an internal blocker was removed through workflow and, I guess, collaboration, like sharing, communicating pain and difficulty, and then a solution emerges, I guess, and everybody gets behind that. Mort, if you can talk to about how, similarly, but with external agencies, how you've been able to create similar type breakthroughs, please.
Sure. So we have many challenges within getting the job done, but one of the things for us is to be able to move traffic through our system during an incident. And as a commuter, no one knows where the borders or the borderline between one city and one agency is. So for us, when we have a freeway that goes from all the way from border of Mexico to Washington, it's just we have to come up with a seamless solution for the commuter. So we had a pilot project to do in Pasadena on I-210. Probably most of you are familiar if you're from Southern California. And the freeway goes through 5 different jurisdictions: Pasadena, Arcadia, Duarte, and which one? What's the other one? Monrovia. Thank you. One of my old colleagues from, so I heard him, I saw him moving his mouth. And also County of LA and Metro. So the challenging is the partnership between the agencies, that how we can move traffic during an incident in a more efficient way, in a faster way. And the challenge was that every agency, they have their own system, they have their own approach, they have their own way of doing things. They don't want to change their signal timing, metering rate, or accommodate for the commuters from the freeway to get into the surface street. So it was a monumental challenge to sit down and talk to them and say that, hey, when there is a non-recurrent congestion, when there is an incident, commuters find their ways, especially with the social media. In fact, Caltrans, we have a web page, it's called Quick Map, that gives you specific information when there is an incident. And technology, we always rely on consultants to provide us a solution, technology solution, a web page, or a platform to do things. But the main challenge was to work with 6, 7 different agencies to come up with an agreement that, yes, if there is a non-recurrent congestion, if there is an incident, traffic is taking their way, and let's guide them through the surface street instead of going to a cul-de-sac, school district area, shopping center. Let's work with, identify the route that is proper for commuters, get off the freeway system, go through a main arteries through the local streets, and get back. So the challenge was to come up with a level playground that this is the solution that will everybody benefit. Otherwise, as we speak right now, even sometimes the social navigation system, they take the traffic through a cul-de-sac. In fact, we have had experience through the dirt road and other places. In fact, we are launching this pilot project. It's called Integrated Corridor Management. That means integrating all the available corridors through the system. So the main challenge, and was successfully was done, we were able to sign a memorandum of understanding that we put everything on a platform. Let's come up with the predetermined routes and put in a decision support system through our platform. And once an incident is identified, depending on the constraining on the proper traffic route, let's provide the decision support, provide a pre-designated route, and increase the signal timing through the detour routes through the local agencies, and get back on the freeway. And it's been, right now as we speak, it's being tested. In fact, tomorrow afternoon we have a plan to determine what would be a launch date, and the local agencies, they're all buying into it. So this is a monumental challenge that we overcome to everybody agree what would be the best solution to manage incidents during the congestion time.
So again, just I guess in summary there, it's about externally working with partners, collaborating and finding these efficiencies and these breakthrough opportunities. Maybe just, well, we've got the mic with you more, if you did a follow-on, because I think you mentioned something to me about an hour or two ago about technology that does get brought in, because you're a buyer. Let's say people bring technology and consulting solutions to you. And I think you were also thinking in a similar vein that the transition or the efficiencies could be improved if there was a bit more collaboration or outreach from the supplier community.
Sure.
Just say a bit on that, please.
Yes. So every agency, every local agency, they have their own system. They have their own legacy system. Caltrans is over 100 years old as establishment, as organization. And the technology that we use, it has been evolved since mid-60s. So, and we continuously making it more efficient, making it broader. For instance, we have about, in LA County and Ventura County, we have about over 12,000 loop detections that identify the volume and the speed, and it goes through processing. And nowadays, it takes only 30 seconds to process the data and bring it on. But it's an old legacy system, and always my advice when I work with my consultants, do not come with a solution, with innovative solution in a vacuum. And the reason for it, because we have a legacy system, we are not going to pull the plug on a massive system statewide, the whole state of California, and put a new system. So, and it's been working well. If they have a solution, before you come up with a solution, try to understand the problems, not only for Caltrans, for any agency. Try to understand what kind of system they have, what kind of platform they have, what kind of problems they have, and what kind of solutions they are looking into it. Then consultant with expert, with subject matter expert, they can expand on it, they can bring it on, and basically build on what every agency has. And that would be a successful way of, and it has been successful for us to advance, to improve on our system, because so most of us are civil or transportation engineers, electrical engineers. We don't have expertise of building a module to do things. So we rely on our expert consultant to do it. But that would be a good way of collaborating and improving on our system.
So kind of bringing the customer into the product ideation. Great segue over to product manager here. And Pooja, it would be good to hear from you just a bit more on like internal enablers. So we've talked about those, kind of getting around those inhibitors, and your views and perspective at what you're trying to do at Stantec.
Sure. So I think that from a technology standpoint, a key enabler is to have the right IT infrastructure in place. As I mentioned before, my role is to take ideas or prototype digital solutions and scale it up. And the one thing that I need for that is the right IT infrastructure. So whether it's software, hardware, the network architecture, cloud computing technology, all that needs to be accessible for the IT teams to be able to scale it up. And that's where I step in and help with building product roadmaps and identifying ways in which we can scale these up. So IT infrastructure is key to enable as an enabler.
And the what about on the people and awareness education side?
Yes.
What incremental gains can you get from investment there?
Right. So IT infrastructure is essential. And I'll give an example here. So one of the things we've done to improve efficiency, what Stantec has built a product called Flood Manager, and this is a shameless plug for that product. It's called Flood Manager. What it essentially does is it uses virtual machines to run HEC-RAS models. So something that can take hours or days to run on a workstation, it can be run in few minutes on this virtual machine. And they've built a product out of this. And it's worked incredibly for both Stantec engineers as well as our external customers. And it's great, we've built it up. But the next challenge for us is a lot of people, even within the company, still don't know that this product exists and what it does. So the next challenge that we are trying to overcome is how do we communicate with our engineers and show them that there is this tool at your disposal that you can use to be more efficient in the projects that you do. There's a lot of resistance, skepticism. Will it work? The security associated with it. All those questions need to be answered, enabled to have more adoption of these technologies and tools. So for that, the communication, speaking in the language of a civil engineer, even though it's an IT product, is critical. And so having that communication and awareness around those products is also key.
I guess engineers kind of get in their mental tracks, and you need organizational change or those techniques to get them on new tracks. Okay, well, we're just wrapping up here. We'll do a speed round of questions for everybody. We'll just start at more and work this way. If you were, as we think into the future, sometimes it's very helpful to go back in the past. So if we reversed back to 2013, in a phrase, Mort, what would you have told your future self? Now with the aggregate experience that you have, what's a key thing you would have communicated?
I think one of the things is that data is the most valuable commodity in the world, and we should have started interpreting the data that we have in a raw form. We collect a lot of data, but we don't do much. We do some with it, but thinking about now that with the autonomous vehicle, connected vehicle, there is a lot more we can do it with digitization of the signing, striping, road geometry, and everything. You can do a lot of things with it. We should have started maybe earlier, but other things. So I just leave it at that.
Thank you.
To utilize the data and interpret the data better, faster, cheaper, and be able to move more vehicle through the system as we're doing right now.
Nina, what would young Nina say to old Nina?
Oh, wait, are we going in the reverse direction? I was thinking, what would I say to myself back then? I would say, to not be afraid of failure, and don't let other people's fear of failure prevent you from experimenting and trying new things, because that is how you're going to learn, and that's how you're going to bring, those experiences into the future, and that's how you're going to innovate.
Nice message. Pooja?
I would say be in the know of everything in IT and digital. I learned programming in school. I did a little bit of programming, but I feel like it's already obsolete, my knowledge about it. And there's so much advancement that has happened, and I felt that I was sort of siloed and didn't know what was going on in the technology world. And now I'm learning and catching up.
Thank you for sharing those insights. Everyone, thank you for your attention. We hope you've had one or two nuggets in there that can help you in your day-to-day. Thank you very much.